Versus lunchtime, 1.5 million new houses by 2029. That was the government's pledge in last week's King's Speech. But can all that new housing really give nature a helping hand? By law, new houses are now supposed to add biodiversity to what was there before. But now a senior planning ecologist says her research shows previous promises to help wildlife aren't working. Our environment correspondent, Sally Bowman, reports.
When Sarah Postlethwaite moved to a new estate in Eastleigh, Nottinghamshire, she found herself surrounded by roads named after nature. But the senior planning ecologist for Leicestershire County Council started to wonder, had as much thought gone into the wildlife as the addresses? So in her spare time, she started an expert audit.
I looked at the planning application and noticed they hadn't been compliant with their conditions, and I found out they hadn't actually put in the bat and bird boxes that were required by condition. And then I decided to look at the new development that was going up next door, and from there it just kind of snowballed into every development built in Eastleigh within the last 10 years.
At the Skylarks estate on the edge of the village, David Wilson Homes, on the advice of their consultants, has set aside a nesting area for their namesake. At first sight, it seems full of life. But it turns out helping biodiversity is complicated.
This is completely unsuitable for skylarks. They need wide open spaces, much shorter grass, no perches for predators. And you can see you've got fencing, you've got signposts, we've got footpaths with lots of disturbance. So in terms of skylark habitat, it's completely unsuitable. This was supposed to be sown with a wet meadow mix. So kind of species-rich grass and adapted to wetland conditions. But it hasn't been sown. We can see this is just a minty grassland which has become overgrown and got ragwort in.
Persimmon has apologised and say they're now auditing their site to put things right.
So what's needed going forward? So what's needed is better resourcing of local authorities, so they have ecologists who can check whether what's being proposed is actually appropriate and feasible, and then 2, more resources in the enforcement teams so that if things aren't created or managed as they should be, they can actually do something about it.
Sally Bowman, BBC East Midlands Today, Nottinghamshire.
And we will be talking more about this on East Midlands Today tonight at 6:30. We want to know what you think. Are you worried about how housing works with nature? Maybe you live in a development that has helped improve wildlife, or, as we saw in that report, could more be done? Well, you can get in touch with us by emailing emt@bbc.co.uk, and the details are on the screen now. You can send us your views or maybe even any pictures of wildlife thriving in your estate.